I wonder what Norman Lear would thinks of Sherwood Schwartz. Do you think he was like fuck that hack or like?
I kind of want to ask him about Irwin Allen too. Yeah, like people who were prolific, but maybe yeah. But I'm curious. Like, would you ever catch Norman Lear like just talking shit about hacks and stuff, or is he just he
lofty? He talked shit about later Jerry Lewis. Like he's like he was funny, then he fucking lost his shit, and he wasn't funny anymore.
Yeah,
I think he would, shoot straight on that.
You know what? Can I tell a story about that I learned from that book? Yeah. Him and his partner, last name Emerson. I mentioned him up here. I can't remember his name. That's great, Dan. They were working on for Martin and Lewis, and they went from their first paycheck was they were splitting $700, which was a big deal to them. It was a lot of money. It was a windfall. And then by the time they were done, like 3 seasons of that show, they were making like $10,000 an episode or something. So you can imagine, I mean, if 700 was a big deal. And then there was a full page ad that was taken out, I think by the producers of the show, that just said, you guys have been the unsung heroes of comedy for a long time. We just wanted to acknowledge, sort of probably in Variety or whatever existed then, you guys are great, and mentioned them by name and said, like, hey, Lear and Emerson, like, you guys are great. You've been writing great comedy. Thank you for writing for Martin and Lewis all this time and all this stuff. And then it was like a month later, like Jerry Lewis, like unceremoniously fired them. And Lear points out in the book that in all of his million interviews and books and documentaries and things, Lewis has never acknowledged that anything has ever been written for him. So there's a dot connection there where it's like, is that what society started saying, like, oh, these guys write for you, and then they got fired.
Oh wow! But Jerry Lewis's movies, the ones that he didn't write, where he had writers, those are fucking hilarious because he's one of the greatest physical comedians of all time. Then when he's writer, director, producer, actor, everything, they're garbage. They're I mean, there'll be a funny scene or two, but
that's what he's talking about. And I was trying to stitch that to like, look, if I see a late night talk show, and it's like, tonight's guest is the vice president of the United States, and we're gonna play tug of war. Gap gap. Is that comedy? I wanted to ask someone who spent his career because I just wanted to hear him go no, and I'm like, thank you, yeah, because it makes me angry. I don't like institutional apple on the desk. Fucking fun is funny.
I was so intimidated by just his aura and presence, and the fact that he's also this really magnanimous, nice, like.
I was really laid back.
You took it in stride.
I should say that. That was this whole thing that happened earlier was an amazing moment for me because those.
Did you know he was going to be here tonight? By the way,
I got tipped to it this afternoon, so I came just to be around it. But it's just you have to understand that guy
owes me $10.
Sure, but he's like Sidney Lumet, and he's like Haskell Wexler, and these guys who are politically active. And I would say, in his stead, maybe somebody else would have done it, but created the sitcom as a political venture, the political sitcom, which was not just selling soap, but it was saying this is what's going on in the world right now, all things.
Having the conversation.
Yeah, you could list the things that happen. There's a Ron Glass episode that's just about the way we perceive race, and it's split in half. The refrigerator breaks down. They don't have any food or something. Meathead's left in charge, and Archie happens to be there, and then Ron Glass comes in as the repairman, and there's 2 different versions. And one, he has a gigantic afro and a switchblade that is the biggest thing you've ever seen just to eat an apple, and Archie's talking about how threatening this guy is and whatever, and then Meathead tells his version of the story, and it's a totally different thing. And it's hilarious from minute 1 all the way through to the end, but even as like a kid watching this stuff on my floor, like I would just go, Jesus Christ!
Well,
it's like people see
regular use of the N-word in both All in the Family and the Jeffersons, and that was just all constant conversations about the actual thing. My grandpa was a World War II vet who lied about his age so he could be in the war. So it's it's almost, you don't even want to call anyone from the Greatest Generation a conservative or a liberal, because it's like those words have been so polluted. Because it's like, what else could you be if you were a vet? Like I don't fault my grandfather being by our modern definition a little more not the most open-minded dude in the world. And one of my uncles, his only son, was a total hippie. Like, it was a very analogous of the meathead thing, and it was going on in every house in every city. And they would watch All in the Family together. I would watch them watch it, and I was just a little kid, and all I knew is that my grandpa didn't really like my uncle that much, but that they both liked this show. And then one guy would talk, and he would say like the N-word and stuff, and and faggot and queer, and then but then they would take turns laughing. It was like the old guy would talk, and then the old guy in my living room would laugh, and then the young guy would talk, and then the young guy would laugh. And why did we turn our backs on that?
I remember
because of Reagan.
The episode when Sammy Davis Jr. comes on. And,
this is what
and he says it's like, I think someone says like, yeah, he's black. No, Carol O'Connor goes. Archie Bunker says, he's black and Jewish. Oh, that's a two-time loser. and then Sammy Davis, when he leaves, before leaving, plants a giant kiss on his mouth. And it got the audience shrieked with joy. Right. It's really, really amazing.
Well, the big controversial thing was not only that it was Norman Lear was catching it from both sides when that show started. It wasn't a ratings hit overnight. It won Emmys immediately, but it wasn't a ratings hit. And can you imagine? Liberals were mad because there was a lovable bigot on TV, and they kept using that phrase, lovable bigot. And there's footage in Carol O'Connor, who you really walk away with so much respect for, because he was so passionate about that role. And as Norman points out, Carol O'Connor was, he was fucking out there. The word showrunner didn't exist back then. It was didn't matter that much. This guy was on TV playing this character. So it was liberals were mad that he was a lovable bigot, and bigots were mad because it was clearly making fun of them, etc. It's it was easy to look at it as a no-win situation, but it also was an all-win situation.
It's great. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for him and for my parents sticking me in front of the TV. They were really, really strict about stuff and about watching TV and when you could watch it and how many hours and stuff. But if they heard the TV on and they yelled out, "Demorge, what are you watching?" And I said, "I don't know, it's a Lear thing," they would let me watch whatever it was. And because they knew that it was complex, Jet Magazine or Ebony Magazine would come out and Richard Pryor would be in it or somebody would be in it, and they would mention writing on one of his sitcoms or shows or something. Whatever. Paul Mooney, I think he hired him to write for several shows and stuff. And these are people we had records of, but nobody else talked about it outside of that or knew, And my parents would get these things and they put it in front of me and go, "See that guy?" And it's insane at every level of him taking, just taking situations and putting them out there. And the mechanics are sound and the jokes are tight and you're laughing the whole time. But there was so much going on. Maude, with B. Arthur, just attacking these ideas of, in the height of the power women's movement, just everything, what that is to be that, how you deal with menopause and how you move these things in and out of a storyline and make people laugh, but also make them walk away understanding what's going on. At the end of it all, the studio audience claps like crazy, and it's,
but you don't get the sense that there's juiced laughter.
No, not at all.
Comfort with silence. You can hear people clearing their throat. They did a rape episode. They did an abortion episode.
Cancer episode.
If it was something, back then it wasn't you go, let's do a special episode and win an Emmy. It was every step of the way. It was always don't do this, don't do this, don't do this, and he always had to say every step of the way.
But All in the Family,
fire me.
Because it's the sets were just like plays. They were just like community theater sets. They were really like Sanford and Son and All in the Family. They were just these really simple sets. the writing is so funny on those shows that they work like satellite radio comedy stations play giant sections of All in the Family or Sanford and Son, and it's incredibly like it's vaudeville. It's really good writing, and I mean, again, like it's character driven plays. It's really really crazy.
The Jeffersons was the same setup as any other sitcom I could turn on TV anywhere else and watch, but the people stirring the drink were black, and for me as a kid it was insane. And the buffoon that was a neighbor was the guy Bentley or whatever. Was a white guy, and we're just watching this going like this exists, this is happening.
Who was the asshole couple that lived next door too that were always being a bummer? No, there was a multiracial couple, right? Wasn't there like a?
Well, it was Roxy Roker's Lenny Kravitz's mom, and
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and jeez,
the big white guy.
Yeah. Oh, Tom, right?
Yeah.
She would always like Tom, and he would go ho 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 ho, hey everybody, and then just these dad jokes that would just fall flat. But then you're just laughing because this is like the least funny guy in the room, but it's by design and by intent. Yeah. I remember adults used to call me in at parties and stuff and like set up kids and like reenact that episode. And people would my little brother would walk around and go, "Whoa, Archie, how was your day?"
Wait, Demore, was there a time like where you? Did those shows come on and you saw the shift where that now there's black leading characters or was that already on when you were like?
It was like in New York there were so many channels that needed programming, and so they would just fill up blocks with everything, and so you could see everything on any given day, and you could essentially binge watch as a kid because you're around in the summers and it's just nonstop. Bob Newhart, the old Bob Newhart show, et cetera, et cetera.
Oh my God, that's funny.
You know, and so you're just getting blasted with this brilliant stuff. But this is like this. I learned immediately, and I think one of our parents even said, if you see Norman Lear's name on something, you can watch it because it's going to be complex, it's going to be important, and he's doing stuff that's not. I mean, then again, like I say, there were these people who existed. Wexler shot Medium Cool and like walked right into the Chicago riots in '68, I think it was. And just shot a movie because that's what was happening now. That's what was important. And he thought art should reflect it. These movements any kind of movement has any successful movement has two things. It has a rhetoric of agitation, which is the thing that's shaking the glass, threatening to break it, and makes everybody back up, and a rhetoric of convergence behind it, which is the thing that sort of makes everybody, people go around it and they just kind of go, okay, look, shut that guy up and we'll advance you a little bit. And you have to rattle the box and you have to move it. And in his shows specifically, I think you get, and this might be this thing about acquiescing and stuff, you get both of those elements. You know, the topic for topic, it can be aggressive politically and controversial or whatever.
Well, I think
but then also, it's just
I don't know if this was
it
his
exists.
thing.
So now the playing field is changed.
But another TV person told me when you watch All in the Family, the secret to keeping that thing going was that if you actually watch it through a political lens, Meathead was always wrong politically, and so was Archie, but Meathead was always right about Archie, and Archie was always right about Meathead. Yeah. So because that's what makes it like you can just do that for 100 episodes then, because it's never preachy. Certainty being the enemy in politics and comedy and religion and everything. And certainty is the enemy.
And even in that show, I think as an audience, you are often wrong about Edith, and then they take the latter half of that series to prove to you that there was so much more going on in there. And there's a point where they're arguing, and it's the same thing that's been happening every episode. And then she stops and she screams at him. And she goes, "Not this time, not now." Not. And if you watch any of those episodes, your heart stops dead. And you go,
all of her secret wisdom that she has, that she can put up with somebody like Archie. Like she's not just a dummy. She's really, really great.
It sounds like it's aggressive preaching, but watch if you haven't seen any of these episodes or any of these things, just watch his shows, and
there's a great clip.
You will be entertained as the top priority.
An awesome clip. I forget what the episode is, but there's a bit. It's so funny, and it will last forever, like in the annals of comedy. It's she asked Archie, "Do you love me?" He's like, "Oh, Jesus Christ, Edith." He's so sad. And she nails him down on it, and it's really, really wonderful because she's the straight man, like she's the protagonist in that thing. It's really, really great. And it's Gene Stapleton, right? Yeah. Oh my God, the cast, the acting, fucking amazing.
And then later in life, you see them do things out of that context and realize these are the most brilliant performers, artists in the world.
Yeah, because they're all British and shit. I mean, they may as well be. Like, Carroll O'Connor is not. He's not like this. Was it? You know, it's like his accent is not Archie Bunker's accent, and nor Stapleton's. Like, they're
jarring,
intelligent
man.
people. All right, so
Sorry, I didn't mean to go
I
off on
farted
that, but
the other
that was
day.
like a life-changing thing today. So thanks for that.
Yeah.
Sorry, Dan. Your fart story got interrupted. Go ahead.
I didn't really fart. Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. All right. Well, what have we learned tonight?
I think a whole lot. How about being not the career that guy has, and will continue to have, and like it's Kiyomi, right? Yeah. And you work with him, and like kind of as what capacity?
Oh God, she's still here. It's so embarrassing. We're talking about your boss all night.
Will you come up and just come up and grab a mic? So
If you want to.
Yeah. I was going to say, he's 93.
He is.
And he looks like $1 million.
Yes,
and he's groovy and easygoing, and he's not a cantankerous old grouch.
No, not at all.
It's amazing. I mean, or is he?
No, he's not.
All right.
He's very nice.
Yeah. So how did you hook up with him? Like, what?
I got lucky. I had an agent call me saying that there was a job opening there, and I interviewed for it, and I got
And
it.
now you're working for Norman Lear.
Yes.
It's amazing. But like, what if we could all be 93-year-olds that could still smile and be so like completely like open-hearted and like open-minded about stuff? It's really fun.
I don't think it's possible. What is it? I just don't want to. I don't want to set myself up for disappointment. So I'm assuming. Yeah, we didn't get into the biological, the age, because I didn't want to feel like a morning show, like what's your secret kind of thing. But so like what is it? So assume he doesn't drink that much. He's not a big drinker.
No, not really.
Does he smoke anything? Does he like a glass of red wine at the?
He's pretty healthy.
He's pretty
likes
into angel
salad.
dust. I know he's got a kind of an angel dust thing.
He references some stuff. He gives partial credit to his writing partners, Dexedrine and what's the other ones? Back then, Seconal.
Seconal? Oh, yeah. Uppers and downers, baby, back in the good old days.
Yeah, what are the downers for, though? What is it like? Okay,
To go to bed.
and for the third act. All right. But he talks about clutch writing and all that stuff. And I wanted to ask him about Adderall and like what his feelings were that, because he mentions doing ecstasy in the book. I think just in passing.
Is his writing partner still alive?
You know, I actually don't know. I've only worked with him for about a little over a year, so I'm probably one of the newest people on his team.
Got it.
What would Norman Lear's porn emoji be? If I was sending a text to my friend and it was like, this clip is amazing.
I would say
Norman Lear fucking
a little upright piano that they play the theme song to All in the Family. Oh no, it would be an easy chair. It would be Archie's chair.
All right, there you go. I didn't really want an answer.